Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rami and today we're talking all about this one. This is blouse number 1, Light, by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I have finally finished it. It was, oh dear, it was a drama-rama project for me. Really, the things that I went through making this garment, but I am in love with it. She is light, she is airy, she is beautiful, she fits wonderfully, and I'm styling her with a pair of jeans. Woo. I think everybody's already familiar with My Favorite Things Knitwear. She has so many classic pieces. I am obsessed with this sweater. I started wearing it as soon as it was done, as soon as it was blocked, and I'm simply loving it. It doesn't feel scratchy, it's soft, it's pleasant, and though it's not actually quite seasonal, I would say this is more of like a spring knit. I'm still wearing it. So let's talk about construction. This is a fitted long sleeve blouse, and it is featuring a boat neckline. There were a lot of people on Ravelry that said the neckline was too tight for them and they couldn't fit their head through the hole, and I was kind of worried. Even though I do have a small head, though it doesn't quite look like it on camera, I do have a small head, and even so I was kind of cautious because I did make this out of single-stranded mohair and I didn't want it to snap because God, can you imagine like all this work and you pull it on and then you hear that snap? Oh my God, no. So yeah, I made it bigger than it suggested, and it ended up being a little too big for my head. So then I ended up tightening it with crochet. So I made a single strand crochet edge just to tighten the boat neckline a bit. But yes, other than that, it looked fine. It looks good. Then obviously the long sleeves. So these were supposed to be bell sleeves in the pattern, but I adjusted the pattern. I didn't do any of the increases. I only did decreases, and I don't have that huge flare, which is something I didn't want anyway, so that's great. I think it came out very nicely. I work a lot and I don't like when my sleeves are like all up in my fingers. Now this pattern uses short row shaping to create the neckline, and the yoke and sleeves are made using the contiguous method. Now, oh gosh, this is now my favorite way of making shirts, sweaters. I love the contiguous design. It fits me so nicely. Guys, come on, like, wow. If you guys have any patterns that you haven't even done yet but know that they're in the contiguous method, please send them my way. I want all the contiguous method patterns because I am in love with this form. Going back to the sweater, it's worked in top down, and I made the size medium using a single-stranded mohair. How many times am I going to say single-stranded mohair? I used a indie dyed mohair silk blend by the dyer Lily Loops, and some drama. I didn't have enough mohair for this pattern. I actually bought this yarn, the mohair, over 2 years ago when I went to a fiber festival down in Long Island, deep in Suffolk County, and I bought this beautiful, beautiful ball of mohair, silk mohair, and for some reason, God only knows why, I thought it would be enough to make a whole sweater. It was 473 yards. I still remember that because I was searching so much for this. It was 473 yards, and why I ever thought that would be enough, I don't know. But when I went to pick up the yarn and start making a sweater, I realized that was not going to be enough. I had to put this project on hold for 2 years. And this fall, I finally found something that matched. So this is brushed alpaca, and the color was so similar to the mohair that I had that I thought people wouldn't notice, / I wouldn't notice that these were two completely different fibers in like two different colorways. So this is the yarn. This is the brushed alpaca. And I was using mohair at the very top. And when I got down to separating for the sleeves, I started blending. I started using one strand of the mohair and one strand of the alpaca alternating. And so it ended up like this. You can't even tell. You can't tell that this is not all one single strand of yarn. Well, one single color of yarn. And then, you know, sometimes you could be your worst enemy, right? I thought, well, I finished the body and I'm like, I'm gonna have enough mohair just to do the sleeves, completely mohair. Got one of them done. Got this one done all in mohair. And then I was about halfway through this one and then I realized I'm not gonna have enough. So if you guys watch my shorts, I did like a whole little spiel about not having enough mohair to finish the sweater. So I had to start blending again. I had to start blending the mohair and the alpaca towards the end of this sleeve. So here it is. This is like a close-up version of the blending. And you can't tell. You honestly can't tell. It worked out so wonderfully for me. I'm so thankful that I was able to finally finish this sweater. So overall, it took me about a month to complete, and that was partially due to the fact that I had really bad hand pain making this. So it was knitted up on size 6mm needles, and you're using single-stranded mohair, right? So like my hand was hurting so much. I would have to put it down, and sometimes I would not be able to work on it for like 2-3 days at a time because the pain was just too much. So I would have to use like a hand massager. My husband would come up to me and he'd see like I'm rubbing my hand, right? And I have this hand massager. I don't use it because I am my worst enemy. And he goes, go use your massager. And I go, right, I have a hand massager. So I'll go and use my hand massager, and honestly, it does help a bit so that I could continue crocheting or knitting again. I also made mistakes. There was one big mistake that I made, and I am still not sure exactly how I did this. So if you do know what in the world I did, let me know. But when I was like doing the raglan shaping, I somehow made these holes. They look lacy, but I wasn't crazy about them. And I didn't like them. It doesn't happen like when I'm like doing the sleeve portion. Like you don't see that happening around here. Everything is fine when you do the M1Rs and M1Ls. But for some reason, I guess maybe it was because I was doing short rows as well. Somehow these holes appeared, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. What was I doing? So if anybody knows what in the world I did, please tell me. And so to fix that like mistake, I ended up making these little embellishments with crochet. So I tightened those holes, as you can see. So this is like with the alpaca I did. So they kind of look like a little border. I mean, I think it's fine. I like it, I'm wearing it. One other thing that I did differently for this pattern was that I cast off purlwise. I did not use the stretchy bind off or anything crazy. I just did a simple purlwise bind off, and it worked fine. I also did, I held the mohair and the alpaca together when I did like the bind off for the bottom. So it gives it like a little thicker of an edge. So that I also really liked. Now, my next project, what am I going to make next? Well, I've been dying to cast on the facet sweater. I am so excited for this piece, and I can't wait to wind up my yarn. Now, the colors that I chose, let me grab them. I got these at a fiber festival in Brooklyn that was held in the fall, which is where I also found that brushed alpaca that I used for this. And I want to use these two together. This is such a pretty yarn. It's hand dyed. It's 85% merino. The colorway is called Dottie. It's 231 yards, so I think it'll be enough. And it is made, well, it is hand dyed by the Garden of Yasmin. Such a pretty yarn. It has like speckles of black in it. And I think it would be so pretty. I think these two would look amazing together in that sweater. And I don't gauge swatch. I didn't gauge swatch this. I didn't gauge swatch anything ever because I like anxiety. I live on the edge, so we're just going to wing it because you only live once, right? I'm just going to cast it on, so if anybody's working on the facet sweater, you want to knit it along with me, that'd be awesome. I'm probably gonna wind up the yarn sometime this week. Now, as for my other whip, as some of you may know, I've been attempting to crochet a plushie. Now, this plushie is supposed to be a teddy bear, right? This is Mr. Chonker. I can't even, this is the body and this is the head. He's enormous. He is fuzzy. I think the mistake I made was picking a super bulky yarn because I cannot believe this is supposed to be how big he is. Like, I ran out of yarn making his second foot. So this is 1 foot, right? Like, look how huge he is. Like, this is meant to be for a baby. He's gonna be bigger than the baby. He's gonna be bigger than the baby. Oh my God, I didn't even make the ears or arms yet. Like, his foot's like right here. This is his second foot that I did not finish because I ran out of yarn. So I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna finish this guy and then give it to my boys because they've been eyeing this teddy bear ever since I started making it. They've been stealing like parts of his body and throwing it around. So maybe I'll end up giving it to them to play with and I'll make another one for the baby. As for my writing update, that's going kind of slow. I did finish the 12th chapter and I'm estimating about 25 for this one. And I'm gonna start talking about the main characters soon, but not yet. I want to get a little further along in the book. But wow, it's going down a different road than I imagined it going. I was going for a cute, cozy romance, and now we're in like this slightly thriller, slightly haunting, slightly creepy romance. I don't know how this happened, but it did. Now, all these hobbies I do require a lot of sitting, and my husband's forcing me to go take a walk. So before we end this video, we're gonna take a little walk because I can't be the only one who's forced to be mobile. Okay, let's go. Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, give me a like, a thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And maybe we can knit something else together.